Welcome to ATC Studios Fridays at the Studio play reading of Agent of Change by Greg Burdick. Our host and director for the evening is Michael Susko.
I'm in a stairwell at another production, so welcome. We are now scheduling the 2023 readings. So if you'd like to be kept up to date with all the offerings, including online classes, please do subscribe to the newsletter. You can find the mailing link on our website, right under ATC Studios tab, and we will have the link in the chat later. As many of you know, ATC Studios is a 501c3, and with so many nonprofits today, things are challenging, to say the least. And we really humbly ask you, if you can, possibly donate to ATC. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Donations of any amount, large or small, are tax deductible. And the easiest and the fastest way to donate is through Venmo at ATC Studios, or you can go on the homepage of our website and scroll down to the donate button. So we're going to get going. This again is Agent of Change by Greg Burdick, directed by yours truly, Michael Susko, with Heather Dumlao, Neal Hallinan, Kathleen, Kellaigh, Bob Smith. This full-length play runs about an hour and a half, and there is no intermission. So everyone sit back, relax, enjoy Agent of Change.
Agent of Change, a new play by Greg Burdick. Setting: a private room at Richard L. Newton Veterans Hospital in Norfolk, Virginia, and other locations. Time: July 2012. Lights rise on Capitol Hill. Dr. Nalani Kao, 47, dressed in business attire, is ready to testify before Congress. She holds an elegant handmade flower pot with a burgeoning bloom of marigolds sprouting from it. She sets the flower pot down and takes her seat.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, and good morning to the members of the subcommittee. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today regarding what I believe to be a critical issue facing the VA benefit system. In Ray Bradbury's iconic novel, Fahrenheit 451, he writes, "Everyone must leave something behind when he dies. Something your hand touched some way, so your soul has somewhere to go when you die. It doesn't matter what you do, so long as you change something from the way it was before you touched it into something that's like you after you take your hands away." One of my patients, Major Thomas Gardner, left this behind. To make this pot, he changed the clay with his touch to something that was like him when he took his hands away. Beautiful, unique, and as it turned out, most fragile. His wife presented it to me after he lost his fight with cancer at the Richard L. Newton Veterans Hospital, where I am head oncologist.
Lights rise on Major Thomas Gardner, 68. He is frail, dressed in a hospital gown and attached to an IV pole. He is seated in a wheelchair.
When you're young, you have this picture in your head of what life will be like when you're older. You dream big, you make big plans, and you hope, with a little luck, those dreams might even take flight. And that's what I always wanted to do, to fly. I remember the very day that I knew, 4 years old, my parents had taken me to the beach for the afternoon. When the onshore winds picked up, I noticed an old man getting ready to launch a kite into the sky. And it was this green dragon with huge extended wings and a long tail. He slowly raised it up above his head, turned into the wind, and let it go. Oh, I sat mesmerized, watching it sail upward, mastered by a magical, unseen force, dancing wildly. The moment it had become a tiny speck in the heavens, he handed me the line, smiled, and said, "Now hold on tight." I looked up at him and nodded. In an instant, as my hand took hold of that string, I imagined myself in the air, soaring high above the ocean, above the shore, above my family. True to my word, I never let go. I held on tight. Years later, I got to cut that string when I became a pilot, unbound, free, at liberty to roam the stratosphere. But just like that dragon kite, I was going to have to land eventually. So here I am, grounded, and the winds are dying down.
Lights fade, hospital sounds. Maybe a nurse's page down the hall, the beeping of a heart monitor. When lights resume, we're inside Thomas Gardner's room at Newton Veterans Hospital. It's 7 a.m. Thomas is lying in bed. Deborah is seated beside him. Billingsley stands in the hallway and knocks on the open door.
Knock, knock.
Come on in, Andy.
Good morning. How you doing there, Major Gardner?
Tom, call me Tom.
All right, how you doing there, Tom?
Oh, I'm just doing absolutely fantastic.
They just drew some blood. More tests, you know.
Yeah, no big deal. They just siphoned it out of the gas tank. Tap the keg. Standard operating procedure around here.
The nurse asked what you wanted for breakfast.
Don't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, geez. Okay. It doesn't matter to me. Scrambled eggs, but only if they're hot this time. And maybe a little oatmeal. You believe this? Married for 42 years, and she's still correcting me.
Occupational hazard for a retired English teacher.
Is that right? Did you tell me that you taught?
Oh, I stopped years ago when
Yeah, I stopped nagging students years ago, but it's still a full-time job for her with me around. Do you believe that when I wrote to Deborah during the war, she sent back all of my letters corrected in red ink? Red ink.
No kidding. What a riot.
All my buddies would tease me no end.
richly deserved. I'm pretty sure we saved them all. I may have to write a book.
Grammatical correctness in combat and other unnecessary nonsense.
Save me a copy.
So what can we do for you, Andy?
Well, just stopping by to let you know that I submitted the paperwork for your claim.
It's not my claim.
No, right, okay. I know, your brother James. Well, you already have full disability, plus the previous financial settlement payout, since the VA presumes dioxin exposure for folks like you who are in those planes.
UC-123s.
Yes, or served onshore in Vietnam or on inland waterways.
They presume exposure.
Yes.
Presume. To suppose that something is the case on the basis of probability. Isn't that right, Mrs. Retired English Teacher?
Uh-huh.
Yes, they acknowledge that your symptoms,
My symptoms?
your diseases, the diseases that you have been experiencing, the lung cancer, the prostate cancer,
And now the lymphoma.
and the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, yes, all of that is fully covered for you.
Well, that's a mercy anyhow, huh, Deb?
What did you want to tell us about James' claim, Andy?
Well, that's just it. Since your brother was technically blue water, serving on board the aircraft carrier.
He served on board CV-64, the USS Constellation. Same time I was there.
Yes, but you were a pilot, Air Force, based onshore. Since he was blue water.
The same time I was there.
Easy.
It's a little more complicated than that. Since the VA requires more information for those servicemen who weren't boots on the ground or just offshore, or like you, who had proven exposure.
I see.
Yes. So
we can't presume that the Constellation's fighter jets flew through plumes of that stuff.
Tom.
Only to return to the ship.
Major Gardner.
We can't presume that the desalination tanks on board that ship didn't remove the dioxin floating around in the ocean from their drinking water.
Well,
From the water they used for their laundry.
what I'm saying
From
is,
the water they all showered in. We can't presume that, can we?
Tom, look, I agree with you. I do. But unfortunately, my hands are tied. All I can do is fill out the forms and argue your case. Let me do my job, and let's just see where things lead.
He didn't sleep much last night. He's tired.
Tired of the runaround. My brother's family deserved better.
I'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Andy. I know you're doing all you can. He's in a foul humor today.
It's completely understandable, and I'll stay on it.
Thanks.
She touches his shoulder, maybe a little too long. Billingsley gives Thomas one last look before he leaves.
Taking your day out on him wasn't really necessary. He's trying.
Yeah, sure. James got the medical care, but when he died, there was no admission of accountability. And to watch Jenny struggle raising those kids, it just wasn't fair.
You helped them out a lot.
We had no children. It's just the two of us.
Please don't keep reminding me.
All I'm saying is we agreed, once the settlement came through, that we...
Relax, Tom. I am not disputing it. You did the right thing. We did the right thing.
She's entitled to some of that money.
And I'm sure that if there's a way, Andy will help it to get you to get more. Right now, you need to rest. Keep your strength up.
Or what?
For what? To keep fighting against this lymphoma. Once the tests come back, maybe Dr. K...
I'm tired of fighting. So tired. I've been fighting forever. When is it going to end?
I don't know.
When is it going to end? When's it going to end?
Tom, it's okay.
I don't want to fight anymore.
You have to, sweetheart. You have to stay strong.
I've been fighting so long. Fighting this disease, fighting this bureaucracy for my brother, for myself.
Tom.
I've been fighting so hard against so many things all my life.
And you can't give up now.
I've always had to fight. For years, I had to fight against gravity. As a pilot, struggling daily to stay airborne, defying physics, gliding, soaring. All that's gone for me now. Karma is finally catching up with me. The earth is pulling me back down. It's winning, Deb. It wants me.
You stop that talk right now, Tom Gardner. I mean it, right now. There's fight in you yet, and I need you to fight. I need you to stay strong. I need you. I know that you're tired. I know you're scared. I am too. But I need you. I need you.
I'm sorry, Deb. I'm sorry. It's just...
You know, I can't hear any more of this right now. I'm sorry. I'm going to go place your breakfast order at the nurse's station. I'll be back a little bit later. Try to get some rest, please.
The light changes and Thomas gets out of bed, moving downstage along with his IV pole.
Deb didn't deserve to witness my little pity party. That woman has done everything for me for the last 2 decades. Longer, really. She's been fighting too. Sometimes harder than me. Oh, harder than I, she would say. Whatever. The point is, she's always looking out for me. And I should never have taken that for granted. But regardless of her good intentions, she can never understand what it was like. Back there during the war, I've told her some stories, a lot of them when I was overseas writing to her. The whole proofreading thing, I guess, was her way of having some control over a situation that was entirely out of her control and out of my own, or at least as far as she knew. While she was rewriting my letters home, I was rewriting our flight plan orders during missions. After watching what that stuff was doing to the jungles, how it crippled the vegetation around villages, both enemy and civilian, my co-pilot and navigator agreed with me that we should ditch it. Plenty of damage was already done. And when they sent us inland to Laos to start spraying there, we just said, no more. Our plane, weighed down by thousands of pounds of chemical, often had to fly low. We could see the enemy, sure, plenty of them. But we were seeing families too, terrified, running for cover, for protection from the strange mists that had been daily raining down on them, killing their crops, leaving them exposed. Sometimes we were low enough to see their faces. So the planes had this button that could quick release dump the whole payload if necessary. We were to use it if we had engine trouble, to keep from crashing, or if we were being shot at. Well, my flight crew found one more use for it. Back in the States, you guys called people like us conscientious objectors. So each mission during the second year of my tour became what we called a CO drop. Well, my co-pilot, who had slightly less finesse, he'd say, "It's time to take a big old co-dump." We even relabeled the button. Before we returned to base, we'd take a quick detour just off the coast, push CO, and just like that, our plane was instantly lighter. And so was my conscience. But I never told anyone. And that has weighed heavy. I mean, if anyone ever found out what we did, we knew it killed bugs. We knew it killed plants. Back then, we had no idea what it was going to do to people, to my brother, to me.
The light fades, music, another plane fly by. As the plane sound fades, lights rise. It is later that morning. Gardner is asleep in bed. A food tray straddles him, but his breakfast is completely untouched. On his tray, a hard-boiled egg, a small portion of oatmeal, and a glass of orange juice. Dr. Keough, dressed in her scrubs, enters, looking at Gardner's chart, goes to his IV and warily checks the tubing, perhaps pushes a few buttons and makes a notation. Gardner stirs.
Oh, Dr. Keough. Hello.
Good morning, sunshine. Nice to see you, Major Gardner.
Tom, please call me Tom.
Sorry, it's a habit here. Okay, but only if you call me Neilani. How are you feeling today, Tom?
Neilani. I'm doing just absolutely fantastic.
I knew you were going to say that.
Is that right?
Absolutely. I love coming to see you. Your optimism, it's infectious and so rare around here, I'm sorry to say.
That don't surprise me. I mean, you don't say.
It's important that you stay positive.
I was just speaking with someone about that. Have you seen my wife?
Yeah, she told me she had some errands to run and would be back later this afternoon, and for you to eat your breakfast. But I can see we missed that opportunity.
What time is it?
Almost 11. Here, would you like some of your orange juice?
No, thank you.
Fluids. You need fluids.
I don't like the pulp. It burns.
Okay, maybe some ice chips to suck on?
That's fine. I might try some applesauce. I'm still not really hungry.
I'll call it in. I was actually on my way out.
The shift is over?
I had a minor surgery earlier this morning and all went well there, but I wanted to check in with my favorite patient before heading home. The last 3 times I've been here, you've been snoozing.
Any news on my tests?
Yes, Tom. Actually, there is some news about your tests. So now that we're through your second cycle of chemotherapy for the lymphoma, we were looking to see how your body has been responding.
And
And the results, they're not exactly what we were hoping for.
trying to stay positive here.
When you had your lung and prostate cancers, we could pinpoint the source and attack it in a very surgically precise manner. But your lymph nodes,
It's systemic.
that's right. And what's tricky is that there are essentially 2 types of lymphoma. There's indolent, which is slow growing and often very hard to detect until the problem has become very severe. And the other, aggressive, which is fast growing, but generally receptive to treatment.
Let me guess. Mine's not aggressive.
Well, unfortunately, the tests seem to indicate that you've got the Monty Hall door number 3 scenario.
Which is?
Your cancer is indolent, but you have large masses, and some of the cells appear to be undergoing a process called transformation, where the slow growing cells kick into high gear, turbo style, and begin growing at a much faster rate.
Wonderful. So at least my body is good at doing something right now.
So the weight loss, the swelling and the pain around your neck, under your arms and your groin, that general malaise.
Yeah, I didn't think any of those were going to be good.
Ordinarily, we save the big guns for later stages of indolent lymphoma, but we need to act quickly to keep things in check.
So, more chemo?
Yeah, we'll be starting your next cycle later this week. Different cocktails, stronger concentrations, and hopefully we'll see more favorable results. But I need you to keep that outlook of yours positive. You've got to keep fighting. It's the only way.
Hey, Lonnie, I love this plan. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
That's what I wanted to hear. But let me speak with the nurses about those ice chips and applesauce, right?
Another plane flies.
Jesus. No rest for the wicked.
It's the Air Force Base. We get it all the time.
It's a shitty place for a hospital.
It's a shitty place for an Air Force Base.
Tell me,
Yes.
how is it that you're so familiar with Let's Make a Deal? I mean, your English is flawless, but your accent, you weren't born in the States, am I right?
No, I wasn't born in the US, but I fell in love with American game shows when I got here. Stupid, I know.
Not stupid. I always liked Price is Right.
Yeah, but it's not the same now that Bob is gone. Give me money any day.
Well, he's gone too. When did you get to the States?
It was 1975. I was 10.
From where? If you don't mind my asking. China? Japan?
Do we really all look alike? No, I'm from Laos.
Laos? You're from Laos?
Take it easy there, Major. Yeah.
I can't believe you. You never said anything.
Well, it's really not a part of my life I like to talk about with most people. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I'm American. Those first 10 years are really nothing more than a distant memory to me now.
I'll never forget my time there.
That's understandable. Wait, you were in Laos during your service?
We flew missions there. We were some. Yeah,
Oh, I thought you flew.
we sprayed that stuff everywhere. And when they saw how effective it was and how the enemy on the ground was scrambling for cover, migrating in all directions, they had us focus our efforts deeper into Cambodia and further north, chasing them down.
The enemy. I remember.
Oh, Leilani, I didn't mean, you do.
Even when I was very small, there were mornings we'd wake up and it looked like fog had rolled in, except we knew it wasn't fog. The hum of the engines coming and going told us it wasn't fog. And the smell, acrid, like,
Jet fuel, bug spray,
yes,
the manure. We flew with the windows open on the plane for ventilation, or at least the illusion of it.
when it started, I was barely walking. 2 years old, maybe. My family became nomads. My parents, they must have been terrified for their lives to uproot us. We bounced from village to village, sometimes camping off on our own, avoiding the trail, knowing it was a target.
What did they tell you about it?
They didn't. They were killed during an airstrike on Salavan.
During the Tet? Leilani, I am so sorry.
I just remember chaos, screaming, the explosions, dirt and debris hanging in the air. And then realizing that my parents weren't tugging at us to follow them anymore. And seeing them on the ground and the stillness on their faces.
Did you have brothers, sisters?
An older brother and an older sister.
What did you do?
We ran all day until the trees became so dense that we couldn't see the sky and could only faintly hear the planes, the jeeps, the tanks. And at night, we clung to one another, keeping clear from the flames in the distance. But even in the density of the trees, at night, you could see the glow from everything they were burning.
I can't believe you survived on your own.
I was lucky, but my brother and sister were not.
But you mean that they...
My brother was old enough to be recruited to the Lao army. One morning, he had just disappeared. He did not go voluntarily. I am certain of it. But I never heard from him again.
That's... I'm so sorry. And your sister?
Also old enough to be interesting to nearby soldiers, but for different purposes.
Oh, God.
They beat her when they were finished with her, and she bled to death.
How did you...
I was 5 or 6 by then, and a nearby farmer found me crying over her. Took me in, took care of me, but he was very old. A few years later, when the war ended, an opportunity came.
Wait, you came here in 1975, adopted.
Yes,
Operation Baby Lift.
you have heard of it. The farmer told forces I had lost my family, and within hours I was on a transport to Saigon, an orphan again, for the 3rd time. Only this time I was headed for the United States, Sacramento.
I always figured there were many children who were, but in all these years, I never...
I was luckiest here. My adoptive parents were physicians, saw my aptitude and interest in math and science. They fostered that, and here I am.
So why oncology?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it's because I like puzzles, riddles, challenges, trying to figure things out. Cancer is one we haven't completely cracked yet, and I want to be a part of that. It's still a lot of guesswork.
Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3.
Right.
You're very brave.
Oh,
Oh, really, no, really. Thank you for sharing that with me.
I think you're very brave to have to deal with, well, for all that you've been faced with.
What I mean is, I understand. how difficult it must be to talk about all that.
You're my favorite patient. It's fine.
Do you do anything to deal with those memories?
I do.
What's your sanctuary?
I paint.
Oh,
Well, landscapes mostly. Not very good at it, but I always feel better after putting my brushes down. It relaxes and soothes. Hearing the sounds of the bristles, watching the pigments blend together. It's my world on the canvas, and I have complete control.
you sound like that guy. What's his name?
Who?
The painter with the hair. Bob Ross.
Exactly. Happy little trees.
Where you don't make mistakes.
Only happy accidents. The best part is when he cleans his brushes.
Just beat the devil out of it.
Right. Great. What about you? I'm sure there's a safe place for you too. What's your sanctuary?
Oh, it used to be the cockpit of an airplane. Talk about having control. Such freedom. But all those memories from the war, the things we saw, and of course, getting older with diminishing health, when you lose your license to fly, you start looking for things real quick to give you that same serenity. I was so depressed. Since I couldn't play in the air anymore, if the earth was going to pull me back in, I figured the only way to deal with that was to just surrender to it. I took a pottery class down at the local Y, and don't laugh, it changed my life. Reaching down into that bag, fishing out a lump of clay, manipulating it with my hands. I never would have guessed that it could. Have you ever sat at a potter's wheel?
No, but I've seen Ghost.
Oh, it's even sexier than that. The magic of having the earth spin in your hands. And with just a few adjustments of your fingers, you're able to give life to an endless array of shapes. You coax it, you will it, but you can absolutely command it too. Deb says it's because I'm staring at a spinning wheel all night, but you do. You leave dizzy. It's the closest I've come to flying while still on the ground.
What do you do with your pots?
Lots of coffee cups, plenty of bowls for keys.
Everyone got one for Christmas one year, I'm guessing.
It's true, but mostly I do flower pots for Deb. She's always planting stuff.
What does she grow?
All sorts of herbs in the kitchen, plus tons of fruit and vegetables. Everyone in the neighborhood raids her garden.
You don't help her?
Deb's the one with the green thumb. I kind of have the opposite of the Midas touch when it comes to plants. And because of all this, I can't even throw a pot now. My grip strength, it hurts to sit at the wheel for too long. I'm a mess.
You need a bossy.
A what?
A bossy. It's a sacred ceremony my people have used for centuries.
What for?
For lots of things. Weddings, to bless a new home, the birth of a child, to cope with illness.
A death in the family?
Well, the ritual is rooted in the idea of the Kwan.
Why do I need the Kwan?
Laotians believe that a person is the sum of 32 organs, and each of those organs has a Kwan, or a spirit watching over them. If any of your protective spirits have wandered, a bossy ceremony can call them back to bring you into balance once more.
Let's do it. I've obviously got some Kwans that have been out hitchhiking.
Well, I can't do that.
Sure you can. What could it hurt at this point?
No, I mean, I'm not qualified to. I've only...
Come on. I'm going to need you to have a more positive outlook.
Okay, we'll do an abbreviated bossy. It's usually a big party.
Two's plenty. Three's a crowd. What do we need?
We need a centerpiece.
She looks around and finds a bouquet of flowers. She removes the card, takes the bouquet, and places it on the tray in front of Thomas.
Your flowers, these'll do. The foie quan. Traditional ones are made of banana leaves and marigolds, and we need to place your food around the base of it.
They both take the items from Thomas's breakfast and carefully place the items around the base of the flowers.
And we really should have some music. Oh, I know. Hang on.
She reaches into her pocket, grabbing her smartphone. After a few moments, she sets her phone down near the centerpiece. It begins quietly playing some traditional Laotian music, hypnotic, trance-like.
If this were a genuine ceremony, there would be an officiant who we call the Mor Foen. It's usually a tribal leader or a magic man.
I think that's going to be you.
Yes. The Mor Foen always begins with an invocation. It is designed to call upon the spirits who have wandered to return. He chants, Quan Ui Mayer. It means, come spirits, come.
Ui, Quan Ui.
Quan Ui Mayer.
Quan Ui
Quan
Mayer.
Mayer. Oh, no, I forgot the threads.
Threads.
It's part of the blessing. The Mar Foen ultimately ties white cotton threads onto the wrists of the person receiving the blessing.
Dr. Kellaigh takes a fresh bandage from a prep station in the room, finds a pair of surgical Lister scissors. She begins cutting 5 threads, about 6 or 7 inches long. Once done, she drapes them over a telescoping pointer that she produces from her pocket.
Kind of like jewelry, like bracelets. I've seen that before.
Exactly. Of course, all of this is done ahead of time. And the food is all highly symbolic. Rice, fruits, chicken, hard-boiled eggs.
We have one. I ordered scrambled, but
Perfect. The egg is a common symbol for fertility, new life, new beginnings, and we'll use it in a moment during one of the prayers. At a full-fledged bossy, the Mor Foen is the one who ties the threads, but soon after, everyone is tying one on, and everyone leaves with well wishes. Oh, and it's important to leave them on for 3 days to receive the fullest effect of their healing powers. Almost
She
there.
She holds up the pointer with the threads dangling from it.
Now, place your hands, palms down, at the base of the foie quan.
the what now?
The flowers, base of the flowers.
He does so, and she begins to ceremonially drag the threads across his hand while saying the following.
Hai kuard ni, di kuard hayao. Hai kuard ni, di kuard hayao.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What is...
Hai kuard ni, di kuard hayao. It means bad is swept out, good is swept in.
Yes, let's do that.
She places the egg in Thomas's left hand.
Now, extend your left hand to me and cup your right ear with the other.
Well, what is the what?
Just do it.
He complies. She lays down the pointer and takes one of the strings. He looks at the egg as she does.
Neilani, we never talked about this, but can dioxin cause, could it make me sterile?
No disrespect intended, but aren't you a little too old to be considering having another baby?
We have no children.
He begins to tie a string to his left hand.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought.
It's not that we
No, of course.
now, anyway, I just wanted to know if
Sure. Sorry. Yes. Well, there is documented evidence of birth defects in the children and grandchildren of affected servicemen. So I suppose it stands to reason.
I knew
it's
it.
possible
I
that-
knew it was me.
Now, wait, you don't know that. You can't really know.
You
if-
remember my reaction to your little sex talk prior to my first chemo treatment?
about the condom use? But it's essential if you're going to be active for Deborah's sake. Otherwise, you risk contaminating.
Do you have kids?
One, Kai, he's 5.
That's a fun age, they say.
It is, and he loves being read to before bedtime. I just wish I was home more often in time for that. He's usually asleep before I eat.
Make time. You can't get it back.
She begins to tie a third string onto his wrist. The music begins to fade.
Do you believe in any of this?
The bossy? Well, prayer, faith, it can be fiercely powerful in the body's healing process. We've seen studies of patients.
What
who-
about all the chemicals you're putting into me? Do you believe in them?
She finishes and draws back from him.
It's my job to say yes.
What if I don't share your view?
About the bossy? Are you saying you don't want to continue treatment? Here, tie one on me.
Thomas gives her the egg and takes a string to tie onto Dr. Keogh's left wrist. She cups her right hand to her ear.
I'm tired. Tired of fighting. And if 2 rounds of this junk hasn't made any kind of difference, then
But with stronger concentrations,
I'll be sicker, weaker than I already am.
yes, initially, but there's a chance with your history of
And there's no guarantee that it'll work.
no, there isn't.
I'm tired. Leilani, I'm tired. And I don't want to be tired anymore.
He has finished knotting Dr. Keogh's thread.
I understand. Bye, Al. Take comfort, Tom. Take comfort. Bye, Al. Do you want something to eat?
No, thank you.
I told you, Bossy's a big party. Usually now is the time we chow down pretty heavy.
You're very kind to offer, but I've been having difficulty keeping chow down recently.
Okay, then. Ice chips and applesauce it is.
I know how to party.
I'll let the nurses know and I'll change that other order.
Thank you.
It's going to be unpleasant. You'll have to start pain management very soon since,
I know.
yes, well, all right then. You need to tell Deborah.
Leilani,
Yes,
you know my brother died of the same thing.
you told me.
Tell people that.
Oh, Tom,
Nobody will listen to me. And it isn't fair.
no, it isn't.
He deserves to be compensated. His family.
Yes,
So could you?
okay, Tom, I will. I'll tell people. Now rest easy.
Okay. Maybe next time you come around, you could bring one of those paintings of yours. I'd love to see it. Happy trees, happy little trees. Happy little trees. Beat the devil out of it.
She looks at him as he drifts off and quietly exits. Lights fade. Music. A day later, evening, as lights crossfade, there are heavy shadows in the room. The hallway doors open slightly. Thomas is asleep. A periodic, quiet beeping from his heart monitor is the only sound. Deborah sits at the edge of the bed, looking at Thomas.
Tommy, you awake? Sometimes late at night when you're asleep, I go down to the maternity floor.
She looks forward, staring into the distance.
I've lost hours there, pressing my nose up against the glass. They're so little, so innocent. They don't let you in, but you can stand there as long as you want to and watch. I never told you this, but I was almost a mother once. Before us. I was 15, just a stupid kid. When my parents found out, that was awful. Well, you're certainly not going to keep it. That was my mother's delicate response. No discussion. It wasn't legal then, but my dad was given the name of someone who would do it. I remember having to drive out of state. It was at this place. Not a hospital, not even a clinic. Just a room in some building. And it hurt. It still does. Especially now. 'Cause I'd give anything to have a little piece of you left behind when it's the only choice of my life. I wish I could go back and edit.
She takes his hand, but Thomas remains fast asleep. They sit quietly. We see Billingsley's silhouette at the doorway. He slowly inches towards Deborah until placing his hand gently on her shoulder. She startles.
Andy, you scared me.
I'm sorry, Deb. I was only.
I didn't hear you come in. I mean,
Forgive me. I just wanted to.
What, to give me a heart attack? Well, good job. You nearly had me there. Yeah.
You're usually gone by this time, but when I saw you sitting there, I thought I'd. How is he?
It's not good.
No, I know.
Things just don't seem to be. I mean, when are we ever gonna
Catch a break?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think anybody around here does. Maybe they've given up.
Well, I want you to know that I'm here for you. I haven't given up.
Thanks, Andy.
I'm here for you. For anything. Just don't hesitate to ask, okay? I want to help.
I'm grateful. It means so much to me. You have no idea how that's.
Billingsley abruptly leans in to kiss her.
Andy, no, I can't.
All right, okay.
I mean.
I thought you, and he's asleep.
No, I can't do this.
Deborah, please. My marriage is over.
Mine isn't.
Forgive me. I completely understand if.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for. Look, you're a very nice man. Andy, I just can't do this right now. Maybe not for a long time. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I've been taking care of him for so long. We have no children, so it's all on my. I just.
Maybe I should go.
You never once think that you'll find yourself wishing for the person that you married, the person you pledged to spend your life with. The person you've said, I love you to, who knows how many times that you'd wish that they
Hey, don't wish for that.
he wished for it. He has refused treatment.
What?
He's abandoning the chemo. He's heavily medicated right now.
Oh, Deborah, I had no idea.
Well, now, neither did I, until the nurses said something to me about it in the hall. I guess they assumed I already knew.
I don't know what to say.
Just the other day, he said he was tired of fighting. I told him he needed to, that I needed him to. Then yesterday, he started having all this sharp pain. It's all just, oh God, what am I going to do?
Billingsley hesitates and then slowly approaches her. He sits next to her, taking her hand. Deborah reaches out to him and embraces him. Billingsley consoles her as she weeps, caressing her back, stroking her hair. We see his face awash with contradiction. She breaks out of the embrace, looking up at him. Billingsley abruptly leans in again, begins kissing Deborah. She is at first still, but soon returns his advances with increased ardor. They rise. Deborah stops, pulls back, and looks down at Thomas. Instantly disgusted with herself, she covers her mouth and runs from the room. Billingsley stands alone for a moment, then turns and exits. The lights fade. 2 days later, mid-afternoon, lights rise on Thomas's room once more. He's sitting up with a small plunger in his hand. He does not look well at all. He is breathing heavily and clearly in a great deal of pain. He clicks the plunger, and almost instantly a wave of calm overcomes him. His breathing eventually slows. Deborah is seated at his side.
You might want to brush that off.
Brush what off, hon?
The tarantula.
Huh?
There's a tarantula on your shirt.
You'd think at these prices they could keep the arachnids out of the private rooms.
I know it's not there, but it looks like it's really there. Long, hairy legs.
Oh, gross.
That was 2 of them. Wait, no, 3.
Dinner and a show.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't give me the morphine sooner. It's tremendous. You should try it. Seriously, you can't see them?
I'm relieved to tell you I cannot.
Seems so real to me. And it's weird to see you just sitting there, just casually eating while one of them's on your head now.
Ew.
Your hat.
Oh, high fashion.
Never guessed you'd be hanging out with a junkie, did you?
Already? No matter. Even if you are, I'd say it's the least of your worries right now. So enjoy it. All totally legal.
The first step toward recovery is admitting I have a problem. I have a problem. Oh,
Oh, what hurts?
everything.
I know.
I hate having you see me like this.
You have to see me with spiders on my face. I guess
No.
that's fair,
Really,
honey. I know.
that hurts too. So much hurts.
So use it again. They said to push it when you need it. Where is it?
It doesn't make it all go away.
Try not to think about it then.
That doesn't help. I was a bad person, Deb.
No, you aren't.
I was a bad person
When?
back then.
A bad person? For what? For doing your duty?
I didn't.
You did.
I know,
You did, Tom. You can't keep punishing yourself for outliving your brother. You did your service to this country, and that's that.
for a long time, I felt really betrayed by this country.
I can certainly understand that. Who can blame you? I mean, all of this.
No, what I'm trying to say is the Air Force gave me the opportunity to do what I loved. They trained me, they paid me. It paved a road for my career down the line. But their disregard for what that stuff did to us, to people, I mean, none of us knew. We were spraying that shit everywhere without a second thought, playing in it, like when kids open a fire hydrant on a hot day in the city. But they knew. They knew.
They did. And they paid us for that misstep.
Yeah, it's just, I traveled more in those 2 years than I ever did my entire life.
Sure. I can only imagine the things you saw.
Paris, Cannes, all over Italy. And not just flying over it, but really traveling. Sitting on beaches, walking through quaint little towns, driving through countrysides the world over.
All in your early 20s.
Yeah, when I could barely appreciate it. Some people, their whole lives, they never get the chance to. But still, even then, I knew it was incredible. I knew I was lucky to be doing what I was doing. But
I'd say you earned it.
Deb, I didn't. That whole second year, I didn't.
What do you mean?
I disobeyed orders.
What?
We all did. Our crew, we disobeyed that whole second year.
But how could your discharge was honorable. You never had the medical coverage, the settlement.
Right? Nobody knew. They never found out.
You?
All of us, our whole crew. We defied all of them and they never knew.
Dose yourself again.
They've got a roof leak.
What?
On the wall.
What's on the wall?
The water.
Huh?
It's a waterfall pouring out of the ceiling tiles.
It's the morphine talking again, honey.
Take off your shoes, just in case.
Okay, they're off.
Good.
You said you disobeyed orders.
We never sprayed the stuff.
Where did it go?
That whole second year.
So it never got loaded onto your plane?
Oh, it was loaded.
Then where?
We didn't spray it. We dumped it.
Dumped it?
At sea. Not over land, at sea. You can't tell. Don't tell anyone. If they found out.
I won't tell. Shh, easy.
We thought maybe with all that water.
Instead of on your targets.
All that water. It'll be fine. There's so much water. There's so much water in the room now. We're going to drown.
No, we're not going to drown. I'll ask them to turn off the waterfall.
Good. But I'm a bad person.
You're not.
It spread everywhere. It's still spreading. Can't stop it from spreading. And because of me. Because of me.
Tom, stop.
Can't stop because of me.
Believe me, Tom, you're not a bad person. You did what you thought was right.
Because of me, it's still spreading. Can't stop. It's too late to stop
You
it.
did what you thought was right.
I'm so sorry, Deb. It's my fault we didn't have kids.
Tom, stop. Don't.
I ruined everything.
You didn't.
We wanted kids.
Yes, we did.
I'm sorry.
Just stop apologizing. Just because you're
I made myself this way.
Oh, you had help. Without that stuff even existing in the first place,
But if
you
I
would-
had just followed orders.
you don't know that.
I know it. I poisoned my brother. I poisoned myself. Our life together.
Hey, so what if you did? You didn't mean to. We all make mistakes. Trust me, we all do. You did, they did, There's nothing you can do about it now. All we have is each other. Let me at least have that. Can I please? Can I please have that for however much longer I can have it? Can I please? Please? Please?
The poison, dioxin, it's still spreading. Can't stop it everywhere. It's spreading, aggressively spreading, nowhere to hide. It will find you. It's inside, all over, all through me. I'm all through. Seeping down deep, bleeding through the water, into the blood. Not enough water to wash it away. Not enough.
Out of desperation, she reaches for his morphine plunger and violently, frantically clicks it again and again and again and again. As Tom's mumbling fades and he begins to drift away, she eases, drops the plunger into his lap, backing away from him. Dr. Keogh enters the room with a canvas. She quickly sets it down and rushes to Thomas.
What happened? Is he, Tom,
He was having quite a bit of pain.
when did he last self-dose?
Just now.
How much? Did you notice? His breathing is very shallow. I'm worried that
It was me. I grabbed the trigger and
you grabbed it from him.
he was going on and I just.
Please don't do that. Only he should have control of that trigger.
Okay. Sorry.
It's too easy for him to overdose. If we want him comfortable, but not Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Are you in there? Everything okay?
Oh, Neilani. I am absolutely fantastic.
You had us worried for a minute. Flying pretty high there, sir.
I take back everything I said about the potter's wheel. This stuff is the shit.
Duly noted. I'm happy to be of service, but take it easy though, okay? Let's bring it back down to 30,000 feet.
Cruising altitude.
He's using more and more and dosing more frequently. It won't be much longer, Deborah.
I know. I'm
So sorry.
it's what he wanted. It's what he needs. Thank you. Dr. Keogh, do you think if Tom had gone ahead with the next round of chemo that he'd be... I see. So,
No way of knowing for sure, but eventually, maybe if he hadn't had to deal with the other cancers before, but
battle fatigue. I see.
precisely. His disease has simply reached a point of critical mass, and we just can't.
I appreciate all your efforts.
Mrs. Gardner. Deborah. This part is never easy, but I hope that you can find some solace in the knowledge that we'll do everything in our power to make certain he stays comfortable until.
What do you have there?
Oh, that your husband asked me to see some of my work.
You paint?
Not well, but
May I have a look?
Sure. Sure. Yes. Okay. I usually stick to landscapes, but I grabbed this one for him specifically. Certainly not my best work, as I painted it a very long time ago. I think it's only fair to warn you, though. It's kind of grim.
Grim? Well, why would you want to show him something grim? Hasn't he enough on his plate right now to...
Dr. Keogh turns the canvas around to reveal her subject. It should look something like Wu Zhang Huang's painting depicting 3 small children running from the spray of dioxin by overhead planes. In the foreground are grotesque trees, gnarled and clearly dead. The tone of the piece is stark, desolate, desperate.
Oh my. It's... Oh my. When did you paint this?
I don't remember exactly.
No, there's a date here. Wait. By the signatures, 1980.
That makes sense. It was high school. I was 15.
Is that you
Yes.
and your siblings?
Yes.
You're right. It's grim.
I'm sorry. Perhaps this wasn't the best time to.
Oh, don't be sorry. It's powerful. It's compelling. To have created this when you were so young.
Thank you.
It's very sad.
It is. Yes.
I mean, it's clear what they're running from.
Not to everyone who's seen it.
I'm instantly worried about them. Where are their parents? Where are they running to?
Do they know?
But there's a sense of hope there.
You sense hope?
They're fleeing, but they're clasping hands, relying on each other.
Yes.
That is where the beauty is, amid the chaos.
You're so intuitive. I mean, I'm no Picasso. I did this as a kid and really didn't know what I was.
Spent most of my life around kids. Are you the youngest?
I am.
They must be very proud of you.
Who? My brother and sister?
No, your parents.
My parents.
Yes. We have no children. But I would be very proud of you if you were my daughter.
I have no parents, but it would feel good to know that if you were my mother.
Here.
No, I was gonna give it to Tom.
Oh, you don't want to part with it?
It's a gift.
I think maybe it's too personal. You'll want to keep this.
On the contrary, I almost threw it away a few years back when I was cleaning out the garage. I think without realizing it at the time, I painted it for both of you. Please, take it.
I had no idea that you were from... Does he know that you grew up during...
He does. Yes, yes.
I don't know what to say, Neilani.
What I paint now and what that 15-year-old painted are two radically different things. I'm a different person now. That is a snapshot of a different world, a different life. For me, this is a time I'd like to forget. But whether I have the painting or not, I'll always remember it. I guess I just want Tom to know that I'm okay now. I'm okay. And many others like me. We're okay now. He shouldn't feel guilty for doing what his country asked of him back then, as awful as it was.
But he didn't.
Huh?
He didn't spray. I mean, yeah, he sprayed that stuff, but he didn't.
I understand. He wouldn't have sprayed it if he had known.
No, I can't. If anyone found out, they
Found out what? Found out what?
Tom said the whole second year of his tour, he dumped all of his chemical payloads out at sea, never on his targets.
When he was in Laos? He disobeyed orders?
His entire flight crew for a year.
When did he share that with you?
Well,
Mrs. Gardner?
I really shouldn't say anything more.
When? You can tell me. I'm not legally permitted to share with what you tell me with anyone. Doctor-patient confidentiality. It's important to me. Please, I'd really like to know. When did he tell you?
He talks in his sleep.
So he never discussed this with you in conversation?
No,
He was sleeping and he said this in his sleep.
yes, he kept mumbling, "Don't tell anyone, don't tell anyone."
I see. So he might have been dreaming.
But he keeps saying it. It must be true.
He's been saying it here at the hospital.
It's the first time I ever heard him talk in his sleep.
Okay, so dreaming or effects of the medication or even the disease.
You don't believe him?
Well, sure, I suppose it's possible that he didn't do what his commanding officers required of him for a whole year without getting caught, but it seems unlikely. I mean,
Ever since his brother's wife was denied the disability benefit for his brother's exposure, Tom's been much more outspoken about the dioxin. My God, the blogs and the online forums, he was posting and checking them every day for a while. And even though the military was blanketing the area with that stuff back when he was there, I can totally see Tom having a change of heart about spraying it halfway through his tour. Even with the threat of dishonorable discharge as part of the equation. He doesn't like seeing other people suffer. It's plausible. I mean, he gave his sister-in-law half of the financial settlement we received when we learned that the government wasn't going to pay for his brother's claim.
he did? That's
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's all just survivor's guilt and he gave it away out of shame.
doesn't seem likely. You married a good man.
I did. He's altruistic to a fault. Plus twins, an inseparable bond.
I think you should absolutely have the painting.
Okay, if you're insisting.
I'm insisting.
What's the title?
I called it Mists of Morning. Mourning.
It fits.
My blue period, the brooding teenage years.
It will hang in his office. Thank you.
Please let him see it before.
Of course. He's very fond of you, We were very lucky to have found you. Thank you for everything you've done for him. For us.
Just let me know if I can help with anything else. I gotta finish my rounds.
Dr. Ko exits awkwardly. Lights crossfade to Deborah on another part of the stage.
So she wasn't entirely convinced that young Air Force Tom had a conscience. Why should she be? It's a miracle she got out of there alive, bombarded every day with that stuff. Maybe she's right. Maybe his words are just a product of his disease, of the drugs, of this place, and all the chemicals wreaking havoc in his system. Maybe he's lying to himself, coping with the guilt, the shame of being partly responsible for the destruction, the death, and the disruption of so much completed with the ease of pushing a button or pulling a trigger or whatever. But even if he's telling the truth, he's still a liar. Or he's been a liar, hiding it, concealing it. I used to have so much contempt for deceptions like that. How many times have I caught students cheating on quizzes, on tests? But as I've grown older, I can see more clearly that we're all destined to do it. Truth is dynamic. Truth is mercurial, adaptable to the needs of the situation. Truth is that the truth is fluid. Yet two things I know are unquestionably certain. Tom delivered a toxic chemical capable of killing plants and people. And when he got sick, his wife compromised her vow to stay true to him. Everybody lies. Everybody dies. And the truth hurts.
Lights fade. Music. The following day, evening, lights rise on Thomas in the worst shape we've seen him, shivering, clutching pathetically to his morphine plunger. Unnecessary equipment has been removed from his room. Deborah is seated near the bed holding his hand. Thomas, she's emotionally wrought.
Do you need another blanket?
Cold, so cold.
Sweetie, the air is off. The window is open. It's almost 80 degrees in here.
Maybe another hallucination.
Even after the sun's gone down, it's still blazing out there. There. Any better?
Some.
What else can I get you?
Nothing. I like it when you hold me.
I know.
It's been so long.
So hard to do around all your tubes and wires.
I know. I'm sorry.
Honey, come on, don't be. I don't want to hurt you, you know?
It's a little late for that.
I don't know how you do it.
What?
You sit there sick as you are, and you can still make a joke. I'm going to miss that most, you know. I'm going to miss that.
I'm going to miss your laugh.
I love you, Tom.
I'm kind of missing it now.
Tom.
Deb, please, it's okay. You need to stay strong.
I can't. Weak. I'm such a weak person.
You're not.
I am. I have to tell you something, Tom.
Deb?
I have to tell you something.
Debbie, you have to promise me something.
First, I have to tell you.
Promise me something.
Okay, all right. What is it?
You need to keep pushing. for James, for the settlement.
Tom,
Now promise me. It's not the money. It's the principle.
I know.
Promise me. Please promise me.
Honey, I promise.
You will? Just don't take no for an answer. Okay?
Okay.
Good girl. That's a good girl.
I'm not.
Huh?
I'm not
Not. What?
a good girl. I am not a good girl, Tom.
Yeah. What's
You won't understand. You couldn't. It's so selfish, and I can't believe I let it happen. And I'm so ashamed that it happened, that I could do it. Well,
Deb?
no, that I could do it at your weakest moment, that I let it happen, that I allowed it, and then welcomed it. I welcomed it.
Debbie.
I kept rationalizing that it couldn't hurt you if you don't know, but it's hurting me. Having to carry it around, the weight of it. The weight of it, along with caring for you and knowing what was happening, what was really happening, and how selfish I was being, looking for an escape, for a way out.
Deb.
I'm sorry, Tom. I am. I am so sorry. I love you. I love you, Tom.
Come here, Deb. Really, it don't matter. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter. I love you too. And anyway, don't feel too bad. I've been pounding all the nurses. So let's call it even.
Okay, deal. I just,
No more, okay? No more. Did you hang that painting?
it's at home. I told her I'd hang it on your office wall.
Just so people can see it. Let them see it.
I know, it's just so dark.
So is this.
Oh, where's your trigger? Where is it? Where is it?
It hurts. It hurts.
Honey, press the plunger. Press it.
He holds the plunger in front of him, moving his thumb towards the trigger, still shaking and shivering fairly hard. When his thumb connects, he begins a series of rapid clicks of the trigger, dosing hard.
Easy, go easy.
It hurts so much.
That's enough, Tom. Stop.
Can't stop, can't, it hurts.
Deborah attempts to get the plunger away from him. Dr. Keough enters the room during her stroke.
How is he? Deborah, what?
He was shivering. I couldn't get it out of his hand.
Tom, how are we doing?
So much for that bossy.
I told you I wasn't qualified.
What?
I'll tell you later. Hang in there, Major.
Now, Lonnie, your painting, it's beautiful.
Tom, I'm so glad that
But those trees,
the trees,
they're not
what?
they're not happy little trees.
No, Tom, they're not.
I'm sorry. They're not happy. It's our fault. My fault.
It's okay. I'm glad you like the painting.
It was a mistake.
Tom, come on, we don't make mistakes, remember? Only happy accidents.
A mistake.
No, not at all. We can paint over that. Easy to fix, simple to hide, and only you and I will ever know. No mistakes. Happy accidents.
Happy accident.
That's right. Happy accident. A happy accident.
It's so beautiful.
Tom? Tommy?
So beautiful. It's so beautiful.
What do you see, Tom? Tell me. What do you see?
Clouds, the white, the sky so blue, the air is thin.
Do you want me to call a chaplain?
He visited earlier.
Oh,
Tom,
up, soaring up, even higher. I wish you could see.
it's okay, Tom. Go ahead, honey. I love you. I love you so
The
much.
wind rushing through my ears, so free, so free. But,
But what, honey?
well, I can't. I can't.
Can, darling, you can. I love you and you
I
can.
can't. I can't.
Tommy, please, please.
I can't. I can't. Cut the string. Cut the string.
What?
Cut it. Cut the string. Cut it now. Cut the string. Cut the string. Cut it.
Dr. Kellaigh looks around, grabs the Lister scissors again, and removes the bossy bracelets from Thomas's wrist. He continues to babble, increasing in intensity until they're off of him, and then finally,
Oh, I'm a dragon. I'm a dragon. I'm a dragon.
he arches his back, stiffens, throws out his arms wide, and slowly relaxes. Deborah turns, looking up and out of the window. Dr. Kellaigh pathetically clutches the bracelets and looks at Deborah. As the lights fade, we hear the sound of another plane engine fly by, low, loud.
There wasn't much that was going to help Tom. As soon as we got to that third diagnosis, I'm pretty sure we both silently thought, this is probably it. But you for John. Tom always did. And it wasn't from my pushing him or my revising his words for him. That was just him. He always had the approach of, okay, so what next? What's next? No rolling over and surrendering. At least until he rolled over and surrendered. He'd had enough. He'd had enough. But I could almost hear him whispering in my ear, what's next, Deborah? What's next? It isn't easy, but I have a promise to keep. It doesn't make sense that one man gets a cash settlement and another man doesn't, when they suffered almost identically. Identical twins. Plain as day. Could it be more plain to see? Navy, Air Force. One blue water, another brown water. But they had orange in common.
Lights crossfade, and we are once again on Capitol Hill, as Dr. Kellaigh, again dressed in her formal attire from earlier, continues her testimony before Congress.
Almost 50 years later, and we have not budged. Almost 50 years ago, I was living in Laos, where I was born. And I can tell you stories of what that chemical did to our land, to the plants on our land, to the people living on that land. America has since packed up moved on to other frontiers to wage war, and the memories of its collective consciousness amount to little more than a few paragraphs in a high school student's history textbook. But the damage that was done to that land, to that soil, to the water table and its inhabitants, no matter how much we might wish for it to be, some things simply cannot be undone. Almost 50 years later, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Thai, and Laotian descendants are battling the same health challenges as our American servicemen. Cancers, neurological disorders, birth defects, and reproductive issues. It's difficult for me to say many of these things to you today because I'm torn. I'm able to speak to you today because the United States rescued a frightened 10-year-old girl from a country battered by warfare. The United States gave me opportunities to start a new life, a life that never would have been possible had I remained where I was. And yet, I'm saddened that the same country is capable of turning a blind eye to the damage it wrought on innocent civilians during that time. And I find it incomprehensible that it would be the same to the men who unknowingly assisted them in doing it. But it's politics and economics that have stalled the conversation regarding where we should go from here. Perhaps instead, we should reconsider Mr. Bradbury's assessment. What will you leave behind when you die? What will your hand touch so your soul has someplace to go? How will you change something from the way it was before so that it's like you after you take your hands away? Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, I urge you to press the Department of Veterans Affairs for greater consistency in compensation, for greater speed in the resolution in its claims, for greater transparency and an increased standard of care. Further, I trust you will urge your congressional colleagues to push for proper funding of the VA so that these critical objectives may be fully realized. The documented numbers of potentially affected servicemen are indeed daunting and frightening between 1960 and 1973. 20 million gallons of dioxin in over 3 million servicemen. But when the best efforts of physicians like myself cannot compete with the devastating effects of an insidious chemical, members of our military are relying on all of you to step up. And without hesitation, show them what they're worth. They deserve better, don't they?
Blackout. End of play.
Applause, applause, applause. Cast, come back out. Take your virtual bow.
Greg, please join us. Playwright, please turn your camera on. Yay. And Michael, are you in a position to join us as well? Our director, ladies and gentlemen, has been on set in New York City all this time.
Thank you for your support of the arts. ATC Studios is a 501c3, and your tax-deductible donations are always gratefully accepted. You may make a donation through our website right on the homepage at www.atcstudios.org or by Venmo at ATC Studios. Thank you for joining us.